Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. So in today's video, we are going to discuss a very important topic from climatology is geostrophic wind. बहुत ही कंफ्यूजन वाला कॉन्सेप्ट है ये. This is also given in your NCERT and till now UPSC had not asked question from geostrophic wind, so you should be prepared from this topic also. Now let us first focus on, before going to understand geostrophic wind, first of all, we will try to understand what are the important forces that control the movement of wind. So we know the air motion. Air motion, actually we are talking about the wind. So when air move horizontally, we called as wind. Okay. So air motion is function of the following three forces. So first one is called your pressure gradient force. Now what is pressure gradient here? Pressure gradient means when a two place have a different in pressure. Okay, so we can say the pressure gradient. So if the pressure is changed very rapidly, okay, like in this case, as you see, this vertical line indicate isobar, and this horizontal line is called pressure gradient force. So pressure gradient force is always perpendicular to the isobar. So this is example of steeper pressure gradient. Steeper pressure gradient means when we say that pressure change one place to another place, the rate of change of pressure is very fast. So we can say it is called steeper pressure gradient, and the pressure gradient is directly proportional to the speed of the wind. Okay, so if pressure is changing very rapidly, we can say speed of the wind is very high. Wind will be blow with a very high speed. On the other hand, this is the diagram where you see there is a gap between the isobars, so indicate that pressure is changing not at faster rate. Okay, here pressure is changing but not as a faster rate, so this is called gentle pressure gradient, or we can say low pressure gradient. So in this case, speed of the wind will be a low. Okay, so pressure gradient force is responsible for movement of wind from high pressure to low pressure, and this pressure gradient force is also responsible, means that indicate what will be the speed of the wind. If it will be steeper pressure gradient, if the pressure is changing very rapidly from one place to another place, so speed of the wind will be higher. Okay, and if the pressure is changing very slower rate, so speed of the wind will be a lower speed. So this is the first pressure gradient. Second one is called your Coriolis force. Sorry, because I am the only person who making notes also and recording, तो मैं खुद से रिकॉर्ड भी कर रहा हूँ, बना रहा हूँ, तो कोई भी अगर प्रॉब्लम हो तो उसको प्लीज अवॉइड इट. ओके, सो सेकेंड वन इज योर Coriolis force. Now what is exactly the Coriolis force? So Coriolis force we know because this is a, we can say it is a one effect of the rotation of the earth. So when earth rotate on its axis, it produces one force called a Coriolis force, and this force, basically what this force do, it deflect the direction of the wind. Only the direction of the wind will be deflected, speed will remain the same. Okay, so don't confuse. In exam maybe they can ask you question कि because of the Coriolis force both speed and direction is changing. No, only speed of only direction of the wind is changed. So it deflected the wind right hand side in northern hemisphere and left hand side in southern hemisphere. So if pressure gradient is more steeper, if more pressure gradient means speed of the wind will be higher, and also the deflection of the wind will be a higher. Okay, because Coriolis force is we know this directly proportional to mass and velocity, means speed of the object. So any object which is in motion not directly attached to their surface is deflected right hand side in northern hemisphere and left hand side in southern hemisphere. Third type of force is called a frictional force. Now this is the force which is applied on a moving object because of the resistance of the surface. So suppose the wind is blowing like this and mountain is present, some of the area, hilly area is present. So in that case, it will be change the direction of this wind also, and also decrease the speed of the wind. So both things will be happen because of the frictional force. So this is applied for those wind which are blowing at the height of, you can say 1 kilometer or 2 kilometer, 1.5 kilometer above the earth's surface. That type of wind is always deflected and decrease in speed because of the frictional force. Now these three forces are responsible that modified the direction of the wind. Let's come to the topic, what exactly the geostrophic wind. Now as you see in this diagram, this horizontal line is the isobar. This is isobar. Okay, this is also isobar. Now this is the isobar is 1010 MB, then 1000 MB, 990 MB and 980 MB. It means pressure is decreases as you moving, as you see, this is the high pressure, and from high pressure to low pressure, wind will be blow. Now this is the direction of the pressure gradient force. And one more thing here is, Coriolis force is also always perpendicular to the direction of the wind. So pressure gradient force and the direction of wind will be the same in initial part, but because of the speed of the wind is very high, so it will be started to deflect. So this is the how, because of the Coriolis force, wind is deflected like this. Again, in later stage, wind is further deflected. Okay, so Coriolis force is acting perpendicular to the direction of wind, and later part again a wind is deflected, and it finally it blow parallel to the isobar. And this type of wind is controlled by only two forces called pressure gradient force and Coriolis force. Now basically we are talking about geostrophic wind. This type of wind is above the height of 5 kilometer to 8 kilometer earth surface, which is free from frictional force. Okay, so here only two force will be acted on the wind. One is called pressure gradient force, another one is Coriolis force. So in this case, a continuous deflection happen because the speed of the wind is increases, because this is a steeper pressure gradient. Okay, and the pressure is changing very rapidly, so the speed of the wind will be also high, so it will be deflected more and more. So one time will become when a wind started to blow parallel to the isobar, and when a wind is blow parallel to the isobar, this type of wind is called a geostrophic wind. So when a wind is blowing parallel to the isobar, it's called geostrophic wind, and it is controlled by only two force called pressure gradient force and Coriolis force. Now for exam point of view, you should remember about geostrophic wind in detail. You should know it is controlled by only two forces, pressure gradient force and Coriolis force. And second point you must remember, it is blow parallel to the isobar. So when a wind is blow parallel to the isobar, it is called geostrophic wind, and it is just above the height of say 5 to 8 kilometer above the earth surface. Okay, thank you.